I'm just turning on the YouTube here.
So you can.
There's nobody. Oh, there is somebody on YouTube. There's somebody watching on YouTube as well today.
Can you mute it?
Yeah.
You've been lucky. The YouTube's been working lately. So I'm just going to spotlight myself unless you want to be the star today, Frank. Good morning, Kim, Linda, Risu, Ann, and Frank. It looks like it's 2 o'clock. I'm expecting some more people, but they might be running a bit late. So, as always,
1 o'clock.
what was that?
1 o'clock here.
Oh, it's 1 o'clock.
It is
there.
1 o'clock. Yeah.
Oh, very nice. So it's similar time zone. Just an hour behind. We're just an hour ahead of you. Okay. So as always, if you'd like to use your strap and your blocks, you're more than welcome to. And if anyone would so choose, you can be seated or standing. And as always, if you feel overheated, I know it's a hot, I don't know what it's like out there close to Manitoba, but it's a hot day here, so feel free to take a break or cool down or grab a drink anytime you like. I'm gonna slide my chair back just a smidge so you can see my feet. There we go. So either sitting or standing, we'll start with a few deep breaths. If you are seated, it's best to have your heels on the ground with the option of putting your tippy toes on the block. So I'm just gonna start with a chest expansion. Palms face forward by the hip. So inhale, exhale, hands on my front thighs. So I'm gonna inhale and open, and then exhale, close. Now if it feels good as you inhale, standing or seated, we can actually lean back, tuck the tail, lift the pelvis, squeeze the butt, and let the chin move away from the sternum. And then as we exhale, we can let the chin move to the sternum, perhaps touching it, perhaps letting the head fall. Good morning, good afternoon, Passat, rather.
Hi.
And if we like, as we inhale, we can bring the hands a little higher, perhaps in line with the armpit. And then exhale. Creating that expansion to the chest, opening the neck to the front of the throat and jaw, and releasing the back of the neck as the head and chest falls forward. Nice and easy. Oh, hello, Donna. Good to see you as well today.
Yeah. I couldn't get on. I had to go back to May.
Oh, gosh. We'll just do a couple more, and then I'm just going to take a picture. If it lets me, I'm going to take a picture of who's here. That's just the participants. Oh, Linda's here as well. Hi, Linda. Nora's here. Good morning, Nora.
Good morning.
Oh, I should say good afternoon, right?
Yes, good afternoon.
Okay, so I just got a quick snapshot of all those names. So now we can move into the side rib cage. So I'm going to take my feet off the blocks, and I'm going to put one block on the side. I can do this standing or seated. I'm going to press down either onto the block or onto the thigh, or I'm going to hold onto the chair. I'm going to lean to the left with the option of bringing the right hand over and across, looking to my armpit, and then exhaling back to the center. I want to make it a little bit more intense. I just bring that block a little bit lower. Wonderful. Stretching through the side of the rib cage. Exhaling. Now, if I am using the chair, I want to encourage my right lower back and my right shoulder to roll into the back of the chair as I lean to the left side. Create that space and awareness. I'm going to do one more. Hold it there. And while I'm holding it here, I'm just going to take that right fingertip underneath my left armpit and then reach it back and behind me. So I'm threading a needle. And if this is uncomfortable, I can put my left hand on my thigh. And again, you can do this standing or seated. And if you do want to stand, it's best to have a slight bend in the kneecap, just to protect the joint. Just gonna do a couple more repetitions here. Opening up to the side rib cage, keeping a slight bend in this left elbow for safety and stabilization and security. I'm gonna hold it here for a bit. And see if I can take this hand behind the chair and then in front of the chair. Look straight ahead. Open up my chest and lower back. That's it. Keep going. Yes. Thank you. Let's do two more. And then we'll slowly come back to the middle. Now, before I do the other side, I'm going to balance this out by taking my left shoulder to my right inside kneecap. And then going back and rolling it back. Rolling it in and down. And then up and back. As I exhale, I'm going to pull that belly button in tight. Always to the same side. Do two more. Now I'm going to take my left ear to my left shoulder, hold it there. I'm going to soften my eye gaze and just allow my right palm to face forward and gently ease it back. Exhaling and out. Good. If it feels good, I can circle. Feeling the stretch through the side of my neck, the scaling, opening up this chest muscle here. We want to bring the hand behind here. A little bit more of an opening. And I can allow the chin to drop diagonally. Look towards my left armpit. And just open up that space. Then I'll slowly recenter. All right, so now I'm going to do the other side. But before I do that, I'm just going to do a few circles with my chin. Only as far forward as feels available without feeling any strain in the neck or jaw. Nice and relaxed. And then when it feels good, I'll reverse the direction of that circle. Tongue to the roof of the mouth. Just let everything relax. And when it feels good, I'm going to reset. Okay, so I'm going to do the other side. So I'm just going to take my block and move it to the right, but you might just want to hold onto the chair or your hand on your thigh or your elbow on your thigh. And you may be seated or standing. You're just going to reach over and across. Just to open up that space there. If you want a little bit more, you bring the hand a little bit lower. You encourage the left lower back to press either into the chair or into the imaginary wall behind you as you exhale. feels like a windshield wiper, gently rocking side to side. Maybe like a rainbow. You may want to think of it as a rainbow. Notice how one side may be looser than the other side. And that's okay. Just allowing our body to go to the place that feels good. And if you start to get dizzy or tired, we just keep the movement smaller and we keep looking straight ahead. Wonderful. If it feels good, I'm going to thread bring my left hand underneath my right armpit and then back to the side. Get a nice massage through my spine, my side rib cage, my lower back, my mid back, my upper back. The whole back is just loosening up, releasing, being gently massaged, expanded, decompressed. Inhaling up and then exhaling through. So I draw my navel in and up. Keeping that shoulder in on the earlobe. Do a couple more. Feeling the release. Nice and soft and gentle. Expanded and open. And if it feels good, I'm going to take that hand behind the chair and then in front of the chair. Opening up my chest, the side of my rib cage. Feeling that release there. Nice, easy. Let's do about 2. Exhaling. And exhaling. And then I come back to center. You know, allow that opposite left ear to drop here. Right palm. Press it back. And you may want to stay here to the, oops, wrong side. You may want to stay here to the, just make sure you do the opposite side that we did last time. And if anyone likes, they can bring the hand behind. Gently press back. And you may like to circle the shoulder. Just let the chin drop towards the right armpit. And the tongue move to the roof of the mouth. And I'm going to let my chin drop down. Just stretch to my jaw, where it connects to the mastoid jaw musculature. And we'll come back to the center. Now, I'm going to exhale, look to my right. Inhale, center. Exhale, look left. Releasing that neck musculature. Just moving at your own speed. So exhale, side. Inhale, center. Exhale, side. Inhale, center. If I like, as I exhale to the right, I can bring my left arm behind. And then center, and then I can switch opposite arm, opposite direction with the eye gaze. And this is going to open up the chest cavity here. Do one more each direction. Nice and relaxed breath. And then back to the center. Now from here, I'm going to take my right ear to my right shoulder, hold it there, and then I'm going to take my left hand behind me and in front of me, and behind me. And if you want a little bit more, I'm going to lean to the right side. And open that up. And one more. I'm just going to hold it here for a little bit. Deep breaths. And then we'll slowly center. Let's try the other side. Left ear. Bring my right hand behind. And then in front. Behind. And if it feels good, I'm going to lean to the side here. Tongue to the roof of the mouth, releasing the jaw. And then I'm going to hold. Slowly back to center. I'm going to put my hand on my thighs. My hand chest fall forward. Tuck my chin round my shoulder blades. And then let my belly drop and look forward. So I'm going cat cow. So I'm just going to turn to the side. So you can do this standing or seated. Cat. Cow. And the standing version looks a little bit like this. And I'm going to slowly relax. So if I choose to stand, I'm going to hold on to my chair. I'm going to bend my knees and then push my hips back. Stay down, and then I'm going to straighten my knees, bend my knees, and then come back up. So I bend my knees, I push my hip back, I straighten my knees, I bend my knees, and then I come back up. Now for those who are seated, we're going to lift one leg, then we're going to lean forward, come back up, and then switch sides. So this is a seated version. We would extend the other leg, lean forward, come back up, and relax. Now, if anyone's doing the standing version and you want to make it a little bit more intense, you can put your hands on the lower part of the chair. Bend the knees, push the hip back, straighten the knees, bend the knees, come back up. Push the hip back, bend knees, straighten the knees, bend the knees, come back up. So this is the standing version. If you wanted more, you could bring your hands to your shins Bend the knees, straighten the knees, bend the knees, come back up. And if you wanted more, you could go to your ankles. Bend the knees, straighten the knees, bend the knees, come back up. And you can do this either on the chair or on the ground. And some of you may want to put your hands on the floor. Bend the knees, straighten the knees, bend the knees. Either way, we're getting a nice stretch for the glutes and hamstrings. Let's do 2 more. I bend my knees, I straighten my knees, I bend them, and then I come back up. 1 more. Bend knees, straight. So those of you who are standing, we're going to take our right foot back, heel up, square the hips, tuck the tail under, extend the right knee, bend the front knee, and we're going to lean back and forward, back and forward, with the back heel off the ground. For those who like to sit, we're going to take the right leg, or left leg for my case, out to the side. Keep the heel lifted off the ground. Push the hip forward, then we're going to lean back. And then we're going to lean forward. And we're going to lean back. And we're going to lean forward with a straight spine. Now, some of you may decide you want to make this more intense. You just bring the right leg further back. And you can also bring your chest further forward with a straight lower back. And keeping this front knee nice and soft. If you want, we can reach the hands up. And then exhale. Deep breath. Opening up the hip flexors and front thighs. Angling this knee out. Do about 2 more. When you're ready, relax. So if you're standing, just shake out your legs. And if you're seated, just shake out your legs. So the seated version, we're going to take the left hand to the right ankle, eyes ahead, back straight, then center, and then switch. This is the seated version. Now for the standing version, feet wide, toes forward, bend the knees, reach. So shift to the right, allow the left leg to straighten out, then come back. Then shift this way, allow the right knee to straighten out, and then come back. So shift one way. Now some of you may be able to go a little lower. If that's okay, you can put your hand a little lower or even on the floor. And then come back up. And the knee, shift across. Or you could use something like a block here. Notice as I shift to the side, I want to keep my lower back straight. So I want to avoid this happening. Keep a nice flat spine. And if you're really advanced, as your left hand comes to the right, you can take your right hand up into a twist.
No, and I have to go now. I'm on my head shoulder.
There we go. Shift and drop. Now for those who are seated, you can also do the twist. Healthy spine. This is great for anyone with back issues. It's good to open up the spine. And of course, we can keep the opposite hand down and just move through the twist sensation. Wonderful. Now, we're going to do one more each side. Relax. So if you're seated, you're going to take the left leg out to the side this time. Push the hip forward. Reach up. Now notice this is not quite correct because my foot's down. This is if you are struggling with your ankle, but otherwise you want to have your foot back and you want to feel your heel lifted. This gives you a deeper quad stretch. Now for those who are standing, we just take the other leg back this time. Front knee bent. And we go back. And we go forward. And we get a nice hip flexor release. And that's with or without the hand movements to accompany the positions. And if we want more, we take that leg further back and we reach the thumbs over the ears. Yeah. And we deeply breathe. Deep inhales and deep exhales. Feel like you're losing your balance, take your feet a little wider or hold on to an item. And we're finished. Relax. We're going to do that same sequence again, but this time I'm going to ask you to bend both of your knees and turn your toes out to the side corners. Then we're going to hinge forward and up. And you can do this seated or standing. So the seated version looks like slow rolling those knees back. And chest forward. And chest up. Now, to make this more advanced, we just take the feet wider. We press the knees back as we come forward. Rise. See, I'm pressing those knees back as I come forward. Rolling the kneecaps back like we're peeling an orange, opening the peels, getting the juice in the insides. And one more repetition. Now, either seated or standing, we're going to drop down. We're going to stay down, push the hips back, and then see if we can lift the right heel and then the left heel, or both heels, keeping the lower back tucked under. Breathe. Feel the hip and groin opening. Soften the shoulders away from the ears. And when ready, we rest, standing or seated. Let's give those legs a shake out. Observing how we're opening the inner thigh and groin. Very gentle movement here. I'm going to take my left foot up and back. And then back to the center. And my right foot. And if I'm standing, I can do the same thing. And then the other side, keeping the hips still. And if I want to challenge my balance, I can open it up and out. And then switch. And we can do the same thing. Seated, up and out. And switch. Good. Now some of you may want to bring your knee higher than your hip. For a deep release to the pelvis. Exhale. Soften the landing. Now as I land, I spread my toes. Feel the earth underneath me. Some of you may notice as I come down, I bend my knees a little bit. And then as I come up, I extend my knees. This gives me a deeper release and massage through my tissues. You can go a little higher. Feel free. Perhaps aiming for the armpit. Perhaps not. And some of you may decide to extend the knee. A little bit of an inner thigh stretch, as well as a pelvic floor stretch. Nice and soft, gentle, decompressive. Wonderful. And then when you're ready, seated or standing, we're going to circle those hips round and round. So if you're seated, it just looks like this. And then the other way, releasing those hips and legs. Good. And now we're going to move into a little bit more of a stretch for the front of the thighs. So if you're seated, you're going to push your hips to the edge of the chair. Press your heels down and then lean back with your chest. Now you're going to squeeze your butt cheeks and push your hip bones forward like you're thrusting your pelvis into the space in front of you. Now for those who are seated, you may want to keep your hands on the chair or you may want to bring your hands over your head. Now for anyone who's standing, this can be quite tough. So if you decide to stand, you can hold on to the edges of your chair. Take your feet really wide. Push your hip forward. So you see that tucking of my pelvis? I tuck it under. I scoop it forward. And then I lean back. And I just hold it here. And some of you may want to take your hands away. Put them on your buttocks or your back or your shins. And let your chin drop back. Now, if that's too much on your lower back, it's best to stay seated. So we're just going to hold that for a little bit longer. If you need a break, you can come out of it any time. Ready? We're going to exhale to middle. Wonderful. Now I'm going to put both of my hands on my thighs. I'm just going to lift and lower. You can do this seated or standing, shifting to one side, then shifting to the other side. Just feel that gentle play of movement, shifting side to side. Yeah. Now find your center. Good. Now you're going to roll forward, standing or seated, lots of knee bend. As comfortable as feels good. As far as feels comfortable, rather. And then slowly. So we're not going into cat pose. We're tucking the chin, we're rounding everything. And we're seeing how close we can bring our head and chin to the floor. And slowly come back up. Now every time we come forward, we're going to pull our belly button in tight. anyone likes, we can thread the fingers between the inner thighs, reaching behind us. And then slowly inhale them. Just gonna do one more. Rounding forward like a Raggedy Ann doll. Coming back up. Gonna go back to that gentle sequence here. Side, side. I want to keep my chest open, my shoulders back. Now as I go to the left, I'm going to bring my right thumb up to my armpit. And vice versa. Feels good. I'm going to dig my thumb into the armpit. Pull the elbow back. And if it feels good, I'm going to hold on one side, press my thumb in, and then roll the elbow in a circle as I look up. And I like to get my thumb right up into the armpit here. Beautiful. Now to the other side. Great for anyone with a shoulder injury, scar tissue in the shoulder or chest, or anyone who had any sort of surgery on the breast. Also very good. And then we're going to come back to the center. Feeling good. So now you notice we're a little bit more open. So we're just going to carry on with that openness. I'm going to take my right hand, see if we can place it either behind the chair or behind my body. Then I'm just going to press it back and forth. So if you're in a chair, we can just stay here. If you're standing, I'm going to take my right hand back and hold the right wrist with my left hand and just press it back and forward. And if it feels good, I'm going to tuck my tail under, bend my knees, and then bring my head and chest forward as I press the heel of the hand backwards. Always keeping a slight bend in my knees, a subtle softness. I'm going to do about 2 more here. Opening up that chest and shoulder. And I'm going to relax. So I'm going to focus on the same side again. So if I'm seated, I'm going to take my right ankle, cross it over my left. And I'm going to come forward and back with all 10 toes on the mat. Now, if I'm standing, I'm going to take the right foot in front of the left. Hold on to something as necessary. And then come forward. Keeping that back knee fairly straight if you're standing. Feeling a nice stretch to the IT band and hamstring. All 10 toes pressed into the ground. I'm just going to hold the next one for a little bit. If it feels good, you can join me. If not, we can keep going down and up. And when you're ready, we can come back up out of that. Good. Now, before we do the other side, sitting or standing, I put both hands on my right thigh, and I'm just going to mount. Now, if anyone wants to challenge themselves, you can put your right foot on a block. Keep your left knee fairly straight. Let me just get the camera down a bit. I'm going to bend my right knee, and I'm going to fall forward like this. And a nice stretch to my right buttocks. If I like, I can try lifting the left leg and crossing it behind the right shin. Wonderful stretch to the calf, the glute, the lower back. Deep breaths. And before I come up, I'm of course going to put my left toe down for balance and then come up. And I can get rid of that block. Now before I continue, I'm just going to do a quick ankle stretch. So, standing or seated, and take the right foot in front and circle the toe. A few times, that's it. Nice and relaxed. Now I'm going to go the other direction. Very nice. Shake that out if you need to. Let's do the other side. So I'm standing. I'm going to take my left wrist in my right hand and hold it behind me. Otherwise, hand behind. And I'm just going to open up the chest. If it feels good, I'm going to lean forward and back with it. Now, for those who are standing, holding on that left wrist behind, soften the knees, tuck the tail, forward. And because my hamstrings are a little bit looser now, I'm now able to straighten my knees a little bit. But if you're feeling tight in your glutes or hamstring, please keep a slight bend. That's it. Loosening up as we progress. Inevitably, the body starts to soften, become more like a sponge. Work, everybody. Deep breaths. Maybe about 2 more repetitions. And then if I can, I'm going to hold it down. Now, if you're not quite able to hold it down, that's okay. You can do it dynamically. Good. When you're ready, we can slowly come back up. Beautiful work, everybody. Let's shake out those legs a little bit. If you're seated, you're going to take your left leg in front of your right ankle. And if you're standing, you're going to do the same thing, but you can hold on to the chair. We're going to come forward. Up. Exhale. And inhale. And we keep a slight bend in those knees. If you're very advanced, you may want to straighten the back knee a little bit more. Get a little bit of a deeper hamstring release there. Keeping all 10 toes pressed into the earth. Good work, everybody. Enjoy the moment, the decompression, the release. Our bodies will thank us later. I'm going to hold it down if it feels good to me. Otherwise, we can keep doing it dynamically. A little bit of an opening there. Working through that tension, decompression. Slowly rise. So wonderful. So, seated or standing, I'm going to put my hand on my left side. Come forward. Check my chin if it feels good. Otherwise, I look straight ahead. Advanced participants, we're going to put our toe, left toe, on the block, heel on the floor. We're just going to bend and come down. And we want to hold on to the mat. Deep bend in this left knee. And make sure the whole foot's on the block. You can take your right foot in the air. Hold. Enjoying that wonderful stretch. Your calf, glute, lower back. Letting the head and chest fall towards the front shin and ankle bone. Releasing the neck and jaw. Opening the calf, back, shin. Of course, when we're ready to come up, we always put the right toe down first. And roll up. Wonderful. From here, I'm going to sit or stand. Well worked. So now we're going to take a nice decompression. So I'm going to take my left ankle. I'm going to see if I can either put it on my ankle, shin, or thigh. And I'm going to curl my left toes towards my left shin. If I like, I can hold on to my tippy toes and roll them toward the shin. If I feel as available, I'm going to hold on to my left toes with my right hand and use my left hand to gently roll the left knee down. And then I can exhale and inhale. Now, if this is a little bit too gentle for you, we can cross it, hold here, and then we can come down. And then we can come up. And as we come up, we can push the hip forward. So we get a little bit of a back bend as we come up. And this is quite advanced. So if you feel like this is really hard on your balance, just stay seated. You're still working the same muscle groups if you're seated or standing. Standing gives you the benefit of improving your balance and gives you a little bit more of a hip stretch. So you get a little bit more stretch in your hips if you're standing. But when you're sitting, you get a deeper stretch in your buttocks and your back. So either way, you get a good benefit. And if it doesn't matter to you, if you're standing or seated, just go to the part of your body that needs it most. So if your buttocks is tighter, do the seated version. If your hips are tighter, you can try the standing version. If it feels good, we're gonna come down. We're just gonna hold it there. Just allow yourself to just melt. So especially on a hot day like this, it's a wonderful opportunity to just have everything sink. So you notice when you're heated, your muscles relax a little bit more than normal, which is the principle of the hot yoga, the Bikram, and so forth. When you're in the heat, everything starts to become more elastic. The heat stretches the muscle out, the fiber. Now, the danger is you still want to avoid overstretching, because even though your body may be able to do it, it doesn't mean it's good for your body. So if there's any sort of shivering or pain, you've gone too far. Similarly, if you feel dizzy or lightheaded, you've gone too far. So you want to feel relaxed with slight tension, slightly uncomfortable, but no pain, no shivering, no shaking, no pins and needles feelings. When ready, we'll slowly come up. Now, this next one can either be done seated or standing, but seated gives you a little bit of a deeper stretch. I take my left knee and bring it up, and I'm going to see if I can bring my left knee towards my right armpit and use my left fingertips, my right fingertips to roll my left knee towards my right armpit. And then if I like, I can take my left hand behind and look to my left thumb. Now, for those who are standing, similar sensation. What I like to do if I'm standing is I like to put my foot on a chair or stool and then roll it in and then lean in. That way you get a little bit of a deeper stretch. Because if you keep your foot on the floor like this and roll it in, you don't get very much of a stretch. So it's good to either put it on a block or a stool or a chair if you're standing. Seated is very easy to get to stretch. You feel it right away when you're seated. Just hold that decompression. And what I really want to focus on is flexing this right foot. So sometimes I'll even hold my toes like this, just to satisfy my mind that I know I'm giving it a good flex. And then I can snake the hand around once I know it's flexed, and then draw the left knee closer to the right armpit. Now, some of you at this point may decide you want a little bit more. So if you're seated, what you can do is you can try to wrap your hand underneath your thigh, hold your fingers interlaced, and then see if you can lift your knee up to your chest, and then bring it further to the right side as you look behind the left shoulder. And this gives you a little bit more. And another variation I sometimes do with this sequence is I'll take this left knee and I'll circle it. And this will give me a massage into my outer hip, glute, and lower back. And then I'll release it. So I'm going to give that leg a shake out. Now I'm going to prepare to do that sequence on the other side. So if you're seated, very simple. You just take your right leg and cross it over here, here, or here, and then you allow that knee to drop down. Then from here, we can lean forward and up. Now I like to use my right hand to press my kneecap down, and my left hand to slide my toes to my shin. Now for those who are standing, you can take that right foot across, flex it. We can come forward. And then we can come up, and for a little bit more of a hip stretch, we just push those hips forward. And then we push the hips back as I bring my head and chest forward. Good. Now, of course, if this is a challenge for your balance, you can hold on to a wall or a chair here like so. And that way you still get the benefit without feeling the balance challenge. Now this is quite challenging, but if you want to give it a try, it is very challenging. Some of you may be able to touch the floor with your fingertips and then come up. It's challenging on the balance. And then reach the hands up and press the hips forward. Gives you a really good stretch, but quite challenging on the balance. So I would consider this an advanced move. We'll just do a few more. And if you like, you can hold it down, or you can keep floating. So you have the option of doing it down and up dynamically, or holding it. And when you're ready, we can slowly come out of that. Wonderful. So we have a couple of options. If we're seated, we just take that foot. So it might be here, it might be here, it might be here, it might be here. Hold on to it. So we can hold on to it with the left hand. If we like, we can bring the right hand back. For those who are standing, we can put that foot on an object, roll it in, or a chair, and then we can go down and up. This is the standing version. Okay. As I mentioned, if your shoulder's fatigued, you can keep your hand down. And if anyone wants a more advanced version, we can snake the left hand under the right thigh, interlace the fingers, pick this knee up and roll it over more. And you may want to hold that in stillness, keeping the lower spine in extension. Or you may want to do a few circles here. the hip, up, back, and round. And sometimes I like to alternate holding and circling with the arm, without the arm. And again, if you're advanced, you can go a little bit higher up with the knee. Ready? We're gonna slowly resettle, so into seated or standing. We're gonna prepare for a relaxation. Well done today, everybody. So you can either be seated, lying down. Now, some of you have said you wanna lie down. That's okay. You can lie down on your mat and close your eyes because everything else is just relaxation. So there's nothing to see per se. For those who don't like lying or seated, we have the walking meditation variation. We stand, we go heel, ball, toe, then toe, ball, heel. And then we switch. So we feel one part of the foot landing at a time and one part lifting at a time, rolling through the toes, drawing down through the heel to initiate the motion. And we just keep our eyes open so we can see what we're doing. And we just move super slow to feel the sensations. If anyone is either lying down or seated, we can have our eyes open or closed. I'm just gonna lie down just for something different. You can have your knees bent or extended, eyes open or closed. And if you're seated or lying down, you just relax. And you allow the abdomen to rise. As you inhale, allow the abdomen to fall. As you exhale, we just breathe. Nothing really particular we're focusing on except the breath. Now, that being said, of course, there'll be invading thoughts that make their way into your mind space. Just let them come in. We have no barricades, we have no blockades. We just let it come in. And as we let the thoughts come in, we imagine that they are like a floating cloud. Let them come into the mind space and then let them float out of the mind space. Let them float in, let them float out, in and out, like a floating cloud, simply moving by. Now here's an interesting concept. As the cloud floats by, I want you to visualize that the cloud takes a certain configuration, a certain shape that holds meaning for you. And what that shape is can be very personal. So perhaps you're thinking of an image of the past, of a person, of a place, of a thing, something that's of relevance to you. And just let that thing that's of relevance to you, it could be something you love, something you cherish, or it could be the opposite, something that doesn't necessarily bring good sensations. Either way, just let it come into the mind space, because your mind is going to present to you what it feels you need right now. Be that something that you perceive as good or bad, because really there's no difference between good and bad in the mind's scheme. The mind is neutral. It's very logical. It's not an emotional creature. So what happens is whatever comes in is whatever it wants you to see right now. So just let that materialize in front of you. And then I want you, and I want all of us, including myself, to just remember that whatever it is that's appearing in that cloud is just a transient image. So just like we talked about, the thoughts are floating by, so is the image. So just allow it to float in, and then allow it to float out. kind of like a conveyor belt of thought. The thought comes in, we acknowledge it, and then it floats out. So just allow it to float out on its own time and observe the next thought that floats in. The next image in the cloud, the next sensation, the next feeling. And this is a wonderful exercise we can do when we're relaxed, when we're quiet, when we're still. Preferably, perhaps with the eyes closed for me, but for other people, you may prefer the eyes open. I find it centers me a little bit more when I close my eyes, but you may be the opposite, and that's okay too. It's a wonderful exercise to bring a little bit of crystal clarity. And you'll notice that the longer we do this exercise, you'll notice that eventually there's long pauses, or at least short pauses where there's no thoughts at all. So for the first few moments, there'll be a flood of cloud faces coming into our mind's eye. And then as we start to do this a little bit longer, there's less and less clouds. There's more empty space. There's more focus only on the breath. And this is good. It means our mind is allowing us to work through things that we need to see, we need to visualize, we need to work through. But if we just imagine everything is just floating in and out like a conveyor belt, it helps expedite everything. Now, the hard part is trying not to attach meaning. So something's really interesting I learned recently is the mind attaches meaning to inanimate objects. So for example, you'll see a cloud in the sky, you'll see an animal or a face or a place, or just like the exercise we were just doing, but really it's not that actual configuration. It's just your mind's way of perceiving it. It's just literally air. And that's exactly what's happening in this exercise. Literally all that's moving through our mind is space and air. But we're attaching meaning to it because your mind needs us to see that meaning for whatever reason. So we're allowing ourselves to work through it, allowing it to go in and out. So really everything we perceive is something we bring into it, the meaning we attach to it or connect to it. So just allow yourself to find the stillness and that what some philosophers would call the meaninglessness or the void of existence. And when we're ready to come out of this, we can give our fingers or toes a little bit of a shake. And if you're standing, you can slowly bring yourself to a seated position. If you're lying down, you can stay lying down as long as you like. So we're going to finish our practice with 3 deep breaths. So either seated or standing or lying down. You can just lie down and breathe. Hands still, or we can reach the hands up and out. Inhaling and exhaling. And namaste. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions? I went a little bit over. I got a little caught up in the meditation there.
That was good, Jeff.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank
I'm going
you.
back to watch Wimbledon now.
Off to Wimbledon.
When is
I
it?
thought it was raining in Wimbledon.
It was. It
Oh,
started
is it raining out there?
well, it was, but they have centre court and number 1 have roofs.
Oh, okay. Oh, good.
Andy Murray was playing when I stopped for the class. So I've recorded it. Anyway,
Oh.
see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye,
Bye.
Linda.
Yeah, see
Or
you.
tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, well, we'll see some of you tomorrow at 2.
Okay.
Is
Jeff,
there-
your reception was excellent.
Oh, that's fantastic because you're quite far away and it still worked well, yeah?
Yeah. So technology works.
Technology works. I said to my friend, either technology works or it doesn't. It's either one or the other.
Thank you, everyone.
So I'm
Thank
going.
you.
Bye, everyone. Have a great.
Oh, bye, everybody. Yeah, it's nice to see everybody.
Is
Bye
there
bye.
is there a morning class
Nice to
tomorrow?
see you again. I didn't think I'd see you twice in one day. That's me. Twice in one day. Very nice.
Mhm.
Although you told me you were coming
So I'm
this morning.
Yeah. Goodbye. Is there a
Bye.
class?
Have a great one. Be safe. Be well.
tomorrow?
Donna, what was
So
the
I'm going
question?
fishing.
Is
I'm
there a
going
class
fishing,
tomorrow
Jeff.
morning? Oh,
Class tomorrow morning. Yeah. So tomorrow morning there's a stretch class / chair yoga with me at 10:30, and then there's Robin's class at 12.
right. Okay. I wrote it down, but I keep missing my papers.
Keep forgetting. That's okay.
All right.
You can always email me if you're not sure.
I'll see you tomorrow.
For 10:30?
10:30. Yep.
All right. How's your mom doing?
A lot better. And I'm trying
Oh,
to
I'm glad.
get Melody to come back into this. I'll just have to wait a week or so maybe and see if she can still, even just sitting down doing it, right?
Yeah, of course. You can do everything seated. You don't need to stand up at all.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. You take
Sue, enjoy those fishes for us.
care.
Yeah, I'm going fishing just now, and I'll catch one for you. But
Oh,
you know, Jeff, I got
that's one for
But I
me
got
and
it.
Donna.
okay, but I got a big bugaboo.
Woo!
Because
Were you a fisherman / fisherwoman all your life? Have you done a lot of fishing?
No, but I can.
It's not your
like I
first
said,
time. Is it your first time?
No, no.
Oh, okay, good. So it's not your first time. So you could definitely get us a big one then.
Yeah.
Have a good afternoon.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Great job today.
Yeah. Thank you.